This podcast is a work of historical interpretation. While we strive for accuracy, some aspects of history are open to interpretation and debate. Thank you for listening. Welcome back, history enthusiasts, to another episode of Time Tellers, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of the past that have shaped our world today. I'm your host, Renee. Over here, being a smart aleck, as always, is Dan.
Thank you for pointing at me like they can see you.
I do that every time. Today, we're going to explore a pivotal moment in American history. Do you know what today's episode's about? Did you look at my spreadsheet in our...
Your most recent one?
Yeah.
No, because that's why I'd asked if there was the pictures for the last few episodes that I just couldn't find.
Oh, no. Okay. I may not have uploaded the pictures. I keep forgetting about that. I mean, I've been uploading them to social media, just not to our Google Drive. I'll remember to do that.
Yeah, just so I, for the new ones when I tell it to upload. Kind of important.
Yes. Okay, today's episode is the Battle of Blair Mountain.
I thought it was Blair Witch. Sorry.
I almost said that. That would have been bad. This episode will delve into the causes, events, and legacy of this monumental conflict between coal miners and corporate interests in the early 20th century, a battle that remains the largest armed labor uprising in the United States since the Civil War. The Battle of Blair Mountain was a defining moment in the American labor movement. It highlighted the intense struggles between miners and coal companies over working conditions, wages, and union recognition. In 1921, America was a nation grappling with the aftermath of World War I. It was experiencing rapid industrial growth and facing significant social and economic challenges, including labor unrest, racial tensions, and the beginning of Prohibition. Prohibition, for anybody who doesn't know, was the outlawing of the manufacturing and selling of alcohol, but not the consuming, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Erie was a big hub for that.
Yes, because we are so close to Canada. Yes.
Yeah.
And Canada did not have prohibition. The Battle of Blair Mountain was the largest armed uprising in the labor movement since the Civil War. It occurred in Logan County, West Virginia. Logan County is located in the southwestern part of West Virginia. Boone County borders on the north, Mingo County to the west, Lincoln County to the northeast, and Wyoming County to the east. This conflict was part of the coal wars that took place throughout Appalachia. Okay, the roots of this conflict. To understand the Battle of Blair Mountain, we must examine the conditions that led to such a massive confrontation. Harsh working conditions, low wages, and ruthless exploitation by coal companies marked the coal industry in the early 20th century. Miners worked long hours in dangerous environments, often without adequate safety measures. I don't know how people go into the ground and work. I'm a little too claustrophobic for that.
Well, now they're compensated greatly for it. At the time, no, they weren't.
Yes. I don't think there would be enough compensation for me.
You could be one of those people that goes down and does something for like $500,000 a year.
Like once?
Yeah, that just like goes in and changes a light bulb or something.
Yes, there is the guy that changes a light bulb on the top of something twice a year.
Cell towers.
Yeah. The United Mine Workers of America, UMWA, sought to improve these conditions through unionizing. However, unsurprisingly, coal companies fiercely resisted union efforts, employing tactics such as blacklisting, hiring private security forces, and using local law enforcement to intimidate and suppress union activity. Blacklisting refers to the practice by coal companies of identifying and creating lists of workers who are involved in union activities, organizing efforts, or strikes. These blacklisted workers were then systematically denied employment in the coal industry as a way to suppress unionization and discourage other miners from joining the union or participating in labor actions. This ties in nicely to Newsies.
Yes, it does. I'd say come see it, but it'd be long gone by now.
Right. There's only 2 more shows left.
Yeah. And I've been to every single one the entire time, the entire show.
Yes,
including the 10-minute exit music.
Coal mines in Mingo County, West Virginia, hired only non-union workers and strictly enforced employment contracts that included union membership as grounds for immediate termination. As miners in the area lived almost exclusively in company towns, termination also meant eviction. So these company towns, they would be built up around the coal mines.
Yeah.
And that's where like families would live. And they would have to shop at the company store because if only for the isolation, they couldn't get to other places as easily, so they didn't have a lot of options. So if you lost your job, you immediately lost your housing as well for your whole entire family.
So that's the way you just dealt with it.
Absolutely. The immediate spark for the Battle of Blair Mountain was the murder of Sid Hatfield, a pro-union police chief of Mattawan, and his deputy at Chambers on August 1st, 1921. Hatfield had become a hero to the miners after the Mattawan massacre, where he stood up against the Baldwin Felts agents hired by coal companies to evict striking miners. The Baldwin Felts agents were union busters who had a reputation for using violence against groups looking to organize. The agents were also responsible for the Ludlow Massacre of 1914 in Colorado. Union busters are individuals, organizations, or firms hired by companies to prevent the formation of labor unions or to undermine existing ones. Their primary goal is to discourage workers from organizing collectively to negotiate for better wages, working conditions, and benefits. Union busters often use a variety of tactics, ranging from legal strategies to more aggressive and coercive measures. Now, the Mattawan massacre that I just mentioned was a violent confrontation that had occurred on May 19th in 1920. This was in the small town of Mattawan, West Virginia. The situation had reached a boiling point when the Baldwin Felts agents arrived in Mattawan to evict the miners who had joined the union from their company-owned houses. The town's pro-union mayor, Cable Testerman, and the local police chief, as mentioned before, Sid Hatfield, confronted the agents. A shootout ensued in the middle of their main street. In the exchange of gunfire, 7 Baldwin Felts agents, including 2 of the Felts brothers, were killed along with the town's mayor and 2 miners. So that event is what had led up to the murders of Hatfield and Chambers on August 1st, 1921, on the steps of the McDowell County Courthouse in Welch, West Virginia. The agents, seeking revenge for the death of their colleagues during the Mattawan massacre, opened fire on Hatfield and Chambers at close range. Both men were shot multiple times and killed in front of their wives, who witnessed the attack. Hatfield was killed instantly. Chambers was bullet-ridden and rolled to the bottom of the stairs. Despite Sally Chambers' protest, one of the agents ran down the stairs and shot Chamber once more, point blank, in the back of the head. On the main street, broad daylight, in front of a courthouse. Their murders galvanized the miners, who saw it as the latest in a long series of injustices. Tensions reached a boiling point, and with unwavering courage and determination, miners began organizing a march to confront anti-union forces and demand justice for Hatfield and Chambers.
Yeah. I keep wanting to say McCoy.
You're 100% there. I keep forcing myself not to say McCoy. Yeah. Not the right story. March to Blair Mountain. In late August 1921, around 10,000 armed miners marched from Marmet, West Virginia, toward Logan County. The anti-union sheriff, John Chaffin of Logan County, had fortified Blair Mountain with deputies, state police, and hired security. The Logan County Coal Operators Association supported him financially, creating the nation's largest private armed force of nearly 2,000 soldiers, at least at the time. The miners' goal was to unionize the southwestern coal fields and protest the oppressive conditions. They encountered various obstacles as they marched. Those obstacles were rugged terrain, harsh weather, supply shortages, roadblocks, and armed resistance from authorities. They also had internal coordination difficulties. and the looming threat of federal intervention. You know, that pesky federal government.
Yep.
The battle began on August 25th, 1921, when the miners reached Blair Mountain. The conflict quickly escalated as both sides exchanged gunfire. The miners, armed with rifles and other weapons, faced off against well-armed forces commanded by the Sheriff Schaffen, who had the advantage of higher ground and fortified positions. Some miners created improvised explosive devices. They often used dynamite, which was readily available in mining communities. I mean, they definitely had the ingredients and knew how to use it.
Yeah, but you can always find the ingredients on the internet.
This was 1921. There was no internet.
Once again, Dark Ages, church, blah, blah, blah.
President Warren G. Harding. Yes. President Warren G. Harding threatened to send in federal troops and Army Martin MB-1 bombers the following day. Like, he literally was like, here's some World War I era fighting airplanes. We're going to go send them in on our citizens, because that's...
But if they disagree with them, I mean, that's acceptable. Right?
I mean, nowadays we might send in that National Guard.
We know how well that went last time.
Yeah.
When's that episode?
I don't know. After a long meeting in Madison, the seat of Boone County, the miners were convinced to return home. But the struggle was far from over. After spending days of assembling his private army, the sheriff would not be denied his battle to end Union attempts at organizing Logan County coal mines. Within hours of the Madison decisions, rumors abounded that Schaffen's men had shot Union sympathizers in the town of Sharples, just north of Blair Mountain. Gotta love those rumors. They cause a lot of problems throughout history. And that during this shooting, families had been caught up in the crossfire. Infuriated, the miners turned back towards Blair Mountain, many traveling in other stolen and commandeered trains. Now we're train hijacking?
Something like that.
For nearly a week, intense fighting ensued. The miners used guerrilla tactics, while Schaffen's forces utilized machine guns, and airplanes to drop homemade bombs on the miners' position. This is a full-out war
that nobody knows about.
This marked one of the first instances of aerial bombardment on U.S. soil. Schaffen also had mounted units that could quickly move across the rugged terrain. Mounted meaning like on horseback.
I know.
I didn't mean to imply you didn't know. I'm just clarifying.
You mean they weren't using bicycles?
As the battle raged on, the situation drew national attention. I can't imagine why. They're literally dropping bombs.
Yeah, but...
In 1921.
By the time California found out about it, it'd be like 3 weeks later. Pony Express?
There were trains.
Oh, yeah, that's back when they had trains doing things.
Yes. The federal government decided to intervene. President Warren G. Harding dispatched federal troops and military aircraft to suppress the uprising. On September 2nd, 1921, federal forces arrived, and the miners, not wanting to fight U.S. soldiers, began to disperse and surrender their arms. A lot of these miners were World War I vets. So fighting against their country, their fellow soldiers, they didn't want to do it.
No.
Miners, fearing jail and confiscation of their guns, found clever ways to hide rifles and handguns in the woods before leaving Logan County. Some were found later, along with many spent and live cartridges. These helped archaeologists reconstruct the course of the fighting in later years. Many miners were killed. The approximate number was between 50 and 100, with hundreds more wounded. Schaffen's men only saw about 30 deaths because they had that high vantage point and machine guns and airplanes dropping bombs.
So in other words, they failed.
They did fail. The immediate aftermath of the Battle of Blair Mountain saw hundreds of miners arrested and many put on trial for charges ranging from murder to treason. Estimates suggest that over 1,000 miners were detained. The sympathetic juries acquitted the majority. Others were in prison for up to 4 years, with the last being paroled in 1925. Several high-profile trials took place, drawing significant public attention. One of the most notable defendants was Bill Blizzard. What a name, Bill Blizzard. A prominent union leader accused of leading the insurrection. His trial was held in Charlestown, West Virginia, the exact location where John Brown had been tried and executed for his raid on Harper's Ferry. This is, for anybody knows about that, and we'll do an episode on that too. In Bill Blizzard's case, the defense successfully portrayed him as a defender of labor rights rather than a traitor. The unexploded bomb that they were able to put in as evidence was used to give evidence for the government and the company's brutality. He was acquitted of all charges, as were many of the other miners in subsequent trials. The battle was a setback for the UMWA, and union efforts in the region were stifled for years. Their memberships plummeted from about 50,000 to about 10,000 members. Because of the defeat in West Virginia, the union was also undermined in states like Pennsylvania and Kentucky. However, the bravery and determination, or just insanity, no, they weren't insane, but just, like, why did they think this would work? I don't know.
Because.
I mean, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, and I get that. The bravery and determination of the miners at Blair Mountain left a lasting legacy. It brought national attention to the plight of coal miners and labor conditions. And some of these coal miners were children, because this was like right around the same time period. I mean, that was a very large time period where we're starting to finally take like child workers' rights into consideration and like limiting that. So I don't know if they actually would have been working as coal miners at this point, but historically that was not uncommon because they were small.
Yeah.
I mean, and its impact was felt with the significant labor reforms in the New Deal era, including the right to unionize. The UMWA helped organize many better-known unions, such as the Steelworkers, which we know about that union in this area of the world. During the mid-1930s.
What Steelworkers?
Well, okay, we are part of the Rust Belt now, but where did the rust come from? Steel.
Something 70 years ago.
Well, this says, such as the steel workers during the mid-1930s, and spurred the creation of labor union affiliations and umbrella organizations such as the American Federation of Labor, AFL, and Congress of Industrial Organizations, CIO. The Battle of Blair Mountain is a powerful testament to the struggles of workers' rights and the enduring spirits of the labor movement. It reminds us of the sacrifices made by those who fought for better working conditions and fair treatments, like literally their lives.
What?
Yes. They also laid out the groundwork for our labor protections that we have today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Time Tellers. If you found this story compelling and informative, please follow us, give us a review, share on our social medias. We do have a Facebook page. We do have an Instagram, which got messed up, so I had to create a new one. Now it's just Time Tellers Pod. I'm not sure what happened there. Time Tellers Podcast Facebook page. Time Tellers Podcast on TikTok. I just created a LinkedIn because Dan asked me to. I literally do not know what to do with it, but it also is Time Tellers Podcast. And our Gmail is timetellerspodcast@gmail. We have our website, timetellershistory.com, where you can listen to the podcast if that's your preferred method. We are, of course, on Spotify, iHeartRadio. We're on Apple Podcast. We're on Podbeam, which I guess Mark listened to.
Yeah, there's a whole list.
Yes. That list is also on our Facebook page with links.
And it's also, you can get to it all off the timetellershistory.com as well. It'll if you hit the little player on the bottom, it'll show you a whole bunch of other ways to get to it.
Although I did want to ask you, you have the social media icons. Are they linked to our social media pages on the website?
Yeah, that just made me realize I should probably change the Instagram one.
Yeah. But I swear I clicked TikTok the other day and it didn't go to it. But
bring it up on there. Let's see.
Well, that makes sense. Because
it should.
Oops. It did that.
I did not want to see that website.
What?
Or maybe I did. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm conflicted.
TimeTellersHistory.com. It shows journey through time. Follow us on social media. If I click on TikTok, it's thinking. Couldn't find this account. Yeah.
I will take a look at that.
And then
Instagram's obviously not going to work now.
We're going to have to fix that. But that just happened. Facebook doesn't.
That is kind of annoying.
Yeah, so we're going to have to fix that. So you guys can just get on our website and click all those social medias that you want to. Yeah, because you can even see this is my Facebook account. Like,
yeah.
I don't know why. So we will figure that out. Or Dan will, because he's got the webpage. I don't even think I've access to anything behind the scenes on the webpage.
You never asked.
I did never ask. You are correct. So anyways, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this Time Tellers Tuesday episode number 6, which has the title of The Battle of the... I hope you enjoyed this episode of Time Tellers on Tuesday for episode 6, The Battle of Blair Mountain, America's largest labor uprising. You guys have a good day. Bye.